Hey everyone, so this video was a last minute decision on my part to post something that's already been recorded, right? This video is already on my channel, you guys can go back to the original video, but I did think it was important to essentially repost my ideas on a Roadhog rework based off of the actual Roadhog rework. I do think that Blizzard kind of missed the ball on the things they could have done to make this rework on Roadhog like really good. So I did want to just kind of post this just so that people could let's say compare Blizzard's ideas to mine idea, so they can compare Blizzard's ideas to my ideas. I've always been saying that my big issue with the way Blizzard designs and modifies their character is a lack of doubling down on what the character does, and I do think that I have successfully done everything Blizzard wants to do through doubling down on Roadhog's chain, which I do think is his trademark ability. So, watch through the video, leave a comment, let me know where you think I'm wrong. And again, this video is just to I'm only bringing this back up because it's relevant, and I think there's not to be that guy, but I feel like there's stuff they can learn from my video if they do watch it. So yeah, feel free to leave a comment, like and subscribe, do all that type of stuff, and let me know if you think my ideas are just bad ideas. Anyways, enjoy the video.
So first off, right off the bat, Roadhog will be gaining 50 HP, so it'll be a buff to his HP from 700 HP to 750 HP, which you might be like, well, why? He already has so much HP. Well, we'll get into those mechanics. He now develops a passive ability called Bodyguard. So essentially, Bodyguard does two things. The first thing it does is a protecting factor. Any ally within 3 meters of Roadhog takes 10% less damage. This will help promote the team sticking to Hog instead of him, always flanking and randomly killing people, which sucks. So now he's a protector, he's a bodyguard. The secondary effect is that, he's a bodyguard, so it would increase to the damage he takes. So he will take 10% of the damage that is mitigated from the teammates around him that he is protecting. And this may sound bad, however, to mitigate this, that's why we gave him an extra 50 HP, which would actually stand to be that he has a padded 500 damage that he can collectively take from his team before, it affects him past the 50 mark. So, 500 damage given to his team corresponds to the 50 extra damage he has now. So he has a bit of a buffer. However, the damage taken does stack. So for example, if your Hog and 2 other characters get attacked by the same move, so let's say Doomfist punches Hog and 2 other people for 80 damages, Hog would actually take 96 damages instead of 80, and the teammates would each take 72 damages. You see, he would have taken 8 damages from each of his teammates. And also the range for this is only 3 meters, which is less than Ryan's hammer's range. So they would have to be pretty packed in close to him for this to kind of take effect. So he's not going to be taking everybody's damage at once. Also, he won't take more damage in proportion to what the person affected by the bodyguard perk has. So if let's say you have an Anna that's right next to you and she takes an attack that deals 500 damage, you will still only take in 20 damage and she will still die. Next is take a breather. So when Roadhog takes a breather now, he also heals his allies for 75 HP over 3 seconds. Everybody within 5 meters. Again, I want to promote him being more of a team player bodyguard type, and I want him to again go for more of a protector type of provider now, from World Eater to Life Bringer. That's also a comic book reference, like I said last time. And the bodyguard takes care of his people. And Hog still has reduced damage when taking a breather, but no longer can walk. If he's being played correctly, he should have his teammates around him supporting him as he also recovers their damage and heals them, and also takes their damage on. And he can still be stunned while he's, taking a breather, but even if he gets stunned, his support should be around him also being able to heal him. And you could time it right. People who have, more skill can be like, oh, okay, Ursa just threw her javelin, so I have some time to take my breather now. Or Anna just used her nade, or her sleep. So now would be a good time to do it. You can kind of gauge it and kind of, map it out instead of just always having it, available like that, which is the case now, right? Because even while he's walking, it's not even that fast. You can still CC him out of it. So as for his main damage, so let's first talk about the primary and then secondary. So no damage reduction as on his primary, but man, I wanted to do it so bad. Only reason I didn't do it is because you guys all hated the idea of reducing the damage. So fine. So what I did do instead is reduce the number of opportunities he has of, you know, shooting somebody for freaking 200 damages. And also gave, you know, the victim or the person he's playing against to have more opportunities for him to fight back or escape. So yeah, hear me out, and I'm sure that by the end of this video, you'll see that I more than make up for this, I believe. So first of all, Overwatch tanks each have their own perk. Ryan, you know, he was the shield character. Winston was like the best diver. Doomfist is essentially right now he's a punching, stunning machine. Which I gotta make a video about that because there's something weird about his cooldown now, where it's more like a 5-second cooldown than it is a 4. But maybe it's a glitch, but we'll see. Anyways, Roadhog essentially his perk was that he just one-shot everybody. We need to move away from that. Like, he can no longer have this as a perk. Doing 200 DPS is too much. And I'm not saying, you know, 200 with every shot. Just like, if you factor in, you know, how much damage he does and how fast he attacks per second. And then it's like 194, but I'm just kind of rounding it up to 200. Because that's a lot of damage, guys, and that's not okay. I don't think that's okay. But again, I'm not reducing the damage. One reason I'm not reducing the damage is because I still want him to be dangerous when you're up close to him. The reason is I want him to stay as a bodyguard. So if his teammates are around him, I want the enemy to be afraid to get close to him and his posse, right? So like as in like a stay away, because it's dangerous if you get too close to my people. That's why I am increasing the damage spread by 30%. And I honestly don't even know what that would look like. But essentially, unless a Mercy is on all fours right in front of his face trying to lick the Cheeto crumbs off of his fingers, you are not one-shotting her. However, you can still go toe-to-toe and really mess up opposing tanks and really rip apart shields. Hog will be better known as a tank or shield breaker, but only if they are really close to him. And I mean really close to him. Okay, so yeah, so that's how you can, you know, make more damage to bigger characters while doing essentially less damage to smaller characters. It's a nice little, you know, workaround cheat code mechanic. So now for his secondary. So just like before, no damage reduction to the secondary, but it will still have the 30% spread increase that, you know, we just talked about, but would kind of act more as an AoE unless someone gets really unlucky and it blows up right in their face, which, you know, might actually end up being a high skill thing people learn to do. But the secondary change to the secondary is that it can now be charged to increase the distance, because one thing is what you're going to see in the changes in the hooks. This is going to be very useful for him and will allow him to work to fight longer distances. So the distance can now go up to 15 meters, up from 8 meters. So that is almost double the range. So this is made to combo with his hook that in this rework has changed drastically. So anyways, I want this to work more like a mortar-like attack, which it kind of already does. But yeah, this will be a big factor in his new flow, because I do want to emphasize character flow, because that's kind of, you know, Orisa has a really nice flow to her. Doomfist, before this patch, he had a really good flow to him. I think in time we're gonna, you know, get that flow back, and just kind of being able to always have something to do and cycle. But yeah, so I guess now let's go to the hook. I would like to interrupt this video to ask you to like and subscribe. If you made it this far in the video, chances are you kind of like what I'm talking about. So, you know, help me out, guys. So Hog's hook is maybe the most dangerous thing in this kit. Originally in Overwatch 1, it was said that it was kind of to punish bad positioning. Something I never really agreed with, because, you know, he would just kind of walk around and get you, even if you were like in a fine place. Now, maybe less so during the double shield meta, where, you know, it was actually it wasn't that easy for him to like grab people. But anyways, now in Overwatch, there aren't shields like that anymore. And if he can see you, he can essentially just hook and kill you, which is nasty, because especially because of the range. The range is ridiculous. He is hooking people from Narnia. So the first change, again, I know you Roadhog fans aren't gonna like this, but the range of his hook has now been nerfed from 20 meters down to 15 meters. This is needed, guys. I'm sorry. This needed to be reeled back in, but also matches the distance of how far his secondary can now go. And then we'll get into the combos later. So the range is now 15 meters, which would actually be more like a punishing position tool, right? Because the person is much closer to you, and probably should be behind his tank, or you're not going to be hooking people who are like up on the ledge in a good position, just trying to snipe. Or a Mercy in the back line that could literally be nowhere else, who's just, getting hooked because you saw her. Right, so essentially, we just don't want to be hooking people from space. So that's the first nerf. The next nerf is there is going to be a charge component to the hook, which I think in the last video I already kind of agreed with. So now Hawk can charge his hook, which is represented by him swinging his chain. Yeah. And I was thinking about maybe this would, mitigate damage or something, but I don't know. That's more of a Orissa's thing, and he already has enough perks. But so while spinning, he can't shoot, as he is using his other hand to spin the hook, and you'll see that going back and forth. It's going to be what he can do with one or two hands, whether he's doing a hook thing with one hand and shooting with the other, or using two hands to do certain hook maneuvers. So yeah, there will also be a large rattling noise that can be heard from I get pretty far away, kind of like Doomfist's punch, where the game is telling you kind of be careful or get your defenses ready because something powerful is coming. So yeah, this will give you a chance to get your skills prepared or dodge, and yeah, so yeah, and the longer he holds it, the further it's gonna go. The next thing is that the cooldown will be increased to 10 seconds. And again, hear me out. This next part is going to make up for it. So, although the cooldown is increased to 10 seconds, he now has kind of a double cooldown to it, kind of like Zarya's Bubble or Reinhardt's Fire Strike, meaning that it could be stacked. So, getting hooked happens in two different phases now. The initial hook doesn't drag you in. Instead, it impedes your movement by 65% for 2.5 seconds. Even your movement skills, unless you're Moira, Kiriko, or Reaper. Essentially, you are chained down, allowing him to shoot at you from a distance with his secondary that can go as far as the hook can now, or his teammates to kind of, shoot at you. So it's kind of a combo there. So he can either shoot at you with his secondary alongside, the teammates that are now being protected by his bodyguard passive. So if somebody is chained, and we're going to call this chained, if you use the hook again on a person who is chained, he uses his other hand to pull the person in. Where if you do it correctly, again, because your teammates will want to take advantage of his bodyguard passive, your teammates will be around you, so they will be able to take advantage of that. Now, because he's using both hands to pull you in, he will take about half a second to a second to switch back to his primary shot. So this will prevent him from essentially putting the person hooked in a position where they can't fight back. They're going to have half a second to a second to escape or do something to get out of there. But we're not doing the one shot thing anymore. It can't be so instant that there is no room for a reaction. So the next thing that changes with the hook is that he no longer pulls you in all the way into him. Instead, you get pulled in about 5 meters away from him, which is, again, I think that's Reinhardt's hammer range. So you don't die immediately by taking a full blast of his shotgun, which again also has a bigger spread. So essentially, you can chain 2 people one at a time, or hook one person every several seconds. Once someone is chained, your teammates can rain fire on them, and if that's while you lob in your secondary. And during the 2.5 seconds, if it's not enough to take down the person, you can chain them again to activate the hook portion of it and pull them in. If you do it right, you can chain people every 5 seconds or hook them every 10 seconds. So in conclusion, the way I made this work is that I wanted a clear method of playing that is smooth, that lets you combo your moves with each other. He stays close with his teammates in a death ball-like comp that you do not want to approach, that the enemy does not want to approach because he does so much damage at close range. You're escorting your support characters who are also keeping him healed. The new hook that can be charged actually gives a warning to, enemy players, but also actually punishes bad positioning instead of him being able to hook anybody from anywhere. And the new chain mechanic facilitates things for your team to make plays off of, instead of him just being a powerhouse that just does everything by himself. and the new combo to chain an enemy, slowing them down, and then lobbing your mortar into them, which your teammate could also help with. And before the chain debuff goes away, you can possibly pull them back in so that your teammates, not you, can finish them off, while preventing the victim of feeling completely helpless. It will give them an opportunity to fight back. He still heals a hell ton of health and has extra damage to mitigate the fact that he's taken on damage of his teammates. And I think this version of Roadhog will pair well with, characters like Baptiste, who can fight from far away, but also who likes having his teammates near him to take advantage of his own skills, like the Immortality Field and Window. But now he's an escort. A bodyguard. He's a bodyguard tank now. He's more enabling his team instead of making the enemy team miserable. By taking damage for his team and being able to heal himself and his teammates while they're healing you and you're taking their damage, it makes a nice little cycle. Take the damage and heal yourself. You are their protection. You are a living meat shield that destroys anybody who comes too close to your teammates. So yeah, I think he's pretty optimized. I don't think he's OP, mainly because he does take on the damage of his enemies, of his teammates. But he's equipped with several things to mitigate these effects if played correctly. And none of his moves, I think all his moves work well together. I think everything could be. I think both his healing mechanic, because he has his healing mechanic to counter how much more damage he's taking, but also how that protects his teammates to continue to heal him. I think that has a good little ecosystem there. On top of that, being able to chain somebody down and then lob in mortars from far away is also a nice smooth thing that also enables his team to kind of synergize everything together. There's a character economy there. I think is pretty stable. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, and yeah, have a good one, and don't forget, I love you.